Welcome back, everybody. Mynor Ramos here with Advanced Insurance Services. I am joined by Mike Domico. Mike Domico, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
There you go. So today we're going to dive right in. We're going to talk about the 8 principles for building wealth and the strategies that are needed for financial success. And so as we go through them, my suggestion is that you write down the bullet point. We're going to have the bullet points in the description. So as you can probably tell, we're going to put a bunch of, like illustrations and things, we want you to think, and we want you to start to put these things into place and into effect. Because if we just sit here and give you like illustrations and things like that, you're just not going to learn. The idea here is for you to really begin to elevate yourself financially. So number one, admit what you're doing right now isn't working. Admit what you are doing right now isn't working. And I'll have Mike do the second one, but I really want to start with, you got to acknowledge where you are right now. There are some people that maybe start to evaluate themselves, that they've been in the corporate world for 10 years, 20 years, maybe 30 years, and they're not any farther ahead than they thought they would be. And I think that that's an important one. So we really kind of have to admit, where you're at. The second one is, and I really like Mike to take this one, don't underestimate what you have right now. Your problem is not what you have or don't have. It's the awareness of all of what you have. So maybe taking self-inventory, cleaning up your house, and kind of going from that. Mike, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is one that I have to work on quite a bit because if you saw my desk right now, you would shut off the video. Um, so you've got to. There's a couple things that are inside of that, so we'll unpack it a little bit. First of all, don't underestimate what you have accomplished. Acknowledge that and use that as stepping stones for whatever else you want to do. So first of all, acknowledge that you were smart enough to get to the point to watch this video. That may sound a little foolish, but in the same token, if you're not striving to improve, there's no way you're going to improve. So once you've admitted what you've been able to accomplish and you looked at what you were doing is not working to the level you want it to work, then the next step is, what do I do next? Well, cleaning your work area is a good start because it's sort of like an example of what's going on in your head. We get so bogged down with just clutter that we can't even get to what we want to get done. Good example, yesterday I had some computer problems. It took me 5 or 6 hours and I still didn't resolve all the problems and I didn't accomplish anything. So had I been better prepared with my own computer, I might have avoided losing that time. So yeah, you definitely got to get a good estimation of who you are, where you want to go, and then how you're going to get there.
All right, so that was step number two. Step number three is leverage everything. And when we talk about leveraging, the everyone talks about your biggest commodity, or the biggest thing you have is time, because you could always make money, and that is partially true. But there's a lot of other things that you can leverage, and that is leveraging other people's connections, leveraging assets, leveraging technology, leveraging so many different things that you can leverage, because if you don't, you're going to be working harder, not smarter, right? Um, I'd like for Mike to take the next one. Start a family business. That's
Before,
number
before you
four.
get before you get to that one, I would like to go back to leveraging for a minute
Yeah.
because I've actually taken leveraging in a different direction, and I want to share it. I do a lot of joint business. Probably 85% of all the policies that I ever wrote were with another agent.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I pursued it or whether they pursued it didn't matter. And I've had agents ask me over the years, especially when the ones that I brought, the prospect to, why are you sharing this business? I says, well, a couple reasons. Number one, I find that the average client doesn't appreciate what I bring to the table because they just don't understand the industry. They don't understand the years of experience that went into producing what is being presented right now. Another agent actually can be what I call a committed listener, hear what's going on, and listening for the points that I miss, or listening for something that the client says that I miss. So, in a sense, I'm leveraging the ability of the other agent and vice versa. So, this is why I do joint business. So,
Right.
even in my presentations, I leverage it based on somebody else watching what I'm doing.
Right. So collaborations.
Yeah, collaboration. Family business. Okay, I have a lot of clients that, whether they meant to or not, started family businesses. A lot of times, these are craftsmen, these are technical people, and they just start off electrician, plumber, whatever. And all of a sudden, their main asset is what they've created in their business. And I had one in particular that was a good friend and client, and he wanted his son to take over the business so bad. His son wasn't interested. He liked the income, he liked the financial potential, but he wasn't actually interested in the business itself. Now, eventually, the son did come around, and he did get in the business, and he's doing quite well. It wasn't anything about capability. It was just that he thought he was going to go in a different direction. So you need to make sure that your client understands the goals that they want to achieve. If a man or a woman is a plumber and that's how they make their income and they build their assets off of that, that's different than the person who's the plumber who expects their son and or daughter to come into the business.
Yeah.
And that's a concept that a lot of people miss because it just sort of happens.
Yeah.
You start working, you get involved, and you're building something, and you're, in your mind, you're building it for your family. In your family's mind, you're just not around until the paycheck comes, and then you go on vacation, maybe.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, that's good, and that leads me to the next step, which is really, it's just like that Nike commercial. Just do it. Just do it now. And to illustrate this, I'm an example of I walked the line of just doing it now. So for probably a good 9 months, I took a course on how to do the YouTube channel. And for a long time, I just hesitated. I mean, it was just really hard to press start. Like the easiest thing to do now is press start, but before it was really difficult to do. But when you start a business, you just really need to get started. And so there's a lot of ways that we can do that. I mean, we're not going to get into the how to, but just get it done. Just get it done.
Well, I can tell you firsthand that when you and I discussed AIS, the Advanced Insurance Services, um, it was conceptual. And you turned around to me and said, okay, what are you doing 9 o'clock tomorrow morning? And 9 o'clock the next morning, we started taping. So it's a really good example because that's what got us going together.
That's right. That's right. Now, number 6 is really, really good. And I think I'd like your take on this one too. But it's that circulation of money. Look, if you ever watched any body of water that doesn't move, it stinks. It's just really rotten, right? But if you watch a flowing stream or a flowing river, the beauty, the crystal is just wonderful. I mean, I would even say that it tastes great. I mean, if you're into the outdoors, that kind of stuff. Same thing happens with money. So really circulating the money is where you're going to be able to, to create this, these principles for financial success. Mike, what do you think about circulating money?
Well, we've actually talked about this in some of our other videos with infinite banking and with
Right.
different
OPM?
ways of investing. And the one thing that we learned from the banking industry is stagnant money is negative.
Yes.
It always needs to be moving. And in your personal finances, what that may look like, whether you're reinvesting in your business or investing in new technology or whatever, uh, that money can provide dividends by improving what you do. Having it just sit somewhere is not only a waste of time, but with the inflation that we're now dealing with, you actually lose money every day.
Mm-hmm.
So have it moving.
And when you talk about, the stagnant money, a lot of times people don't realize that, they're 100% of their income is somehow tied to someone else. 30% usually goes to taxes. 30% goes to, you know, uh, really like the money that you have that you spend. You might think to yourself, you're spending money on your home, you're spending money on your insurance, you're spending money on your gas, on your food, on your clothing, and all that stuff. Where's all that money going to? Corporations.
Right.
And the other part is going to fight the inflation. So if you're just doing that and you're not changing this idea of circulating money, is what's got you tied down. Now, the next one is sell, sell, sell. And the beauty of this is that a lot of people go back to number 6, where circulating money. They're like, well, there's no money to circulate. Well, guess what? When you sell, there there's no cap. So I'll give you an example. March Madness is around the corner. Let's say that I picked the winning team. Let's just say that, for example, I don't know, Illinois, right? Wishful thinking. Let's say that Illinois was to win. If I went out and the day that they win the championship, I had 1,000 T-shirts. You think those T-shirts are going to sell? Of course they will. I might even run out before the celebration stops. Well, that's what happens with selling. You have leverage in selling, and I would say that a lot of people have a misconception about something like, oh, I don't want anybody to sell me anything. Well, you just sold someone on the idea that you don't want somebody to sell, right? So how important is it to sell and if you want to be financially free?
Well, there's no question about it. Again, it's the concept joined with the, money has to be moving all the time. Now, selling T-shirts may be one way, but again, by always, first of all, talking about what you do, the ability to present yourself as whether it's a service or whatever your business is, you always got to be cognizant of the fact that people are watching and listening. When you expect them not to be watching and listening, they're actually watching and listening even more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so you've got to be able to sell. You got to be able to talk about what you do, talk about how you're going to do it, and then get commitment from people around you just by hearing you that that's who you are. That's part of who Mynor is or Mike is. It's not just somebody that happens to sell something, but that's what you believe in, and that's how you present yourself. So you're always selling.
That's right. That's right. And we've done a number of video series and webinar series on a lot of different concepts that you can tie in and go back and listen to. But more importantly, these 8 principles for building wealth, the final step is number 8, which is pay debts with profits. So think about this. You never want to pay anything with your net cash flow to pay anything. What you really want to do is you want to take your money, invest it, get a return, and then go buy. Now, is that counterintuitive to what we've been taught, Mike? I think you were taught in high school, you were taught that in college, right?
Well, you're right. It is counterintuitive because, I grew up with parents that had lived through the Depression. So, they were always believers to stay away from credit. So they were always buying out of their income.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until much later in life when mom and dad got a little bit ahead of the game financially that they started putting money away and then paying. I'd never forget, my dad once set up a credit card tied to his money market. And I asked him why he did that. He says, well, he put the money in the money market. Number one, I have it whenever I need it. And the credit card, rather than using it for credit to pay in advance or to pay in the future, I should say, he was using just as the vehicle to take the money out of his money market. So in his last 25, 30 years of life, everything he bought through his money market with a credit card.
Hmm.
So he didn't pay any interest on it because there was 25 days free interest on the credit card. And he did earn interest on the money in the money market. So he always felt like he had accomplished more than he did in earlier life, where literally living from paycheck to paycheck. So it's not something that the person right out of school or right out of VOTEC or whatever education they may have is able to accomplish, but it is one of the earliest goals that you want to strive to, the ability to pay out of profits rather than out of net income.
And that is really, in essence, a lot of the concept of velocity banking and infinite banking. And then, of course, once you can take it to a higher level, the OPM strategy, other people's money, leveraging that. So there's a lot that we put out here for our listeners today. Mike, always thank you for joining me and giving us your insight and your experience into all of these ideas. But remember, an idea just in your head is just an idea. You got to start to implement. Would love to, connect with you at some point, and with any of the things that we're able to do with Advanced Insurance Services. Again, this has been Mynor Ramos and Michael Domico. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Mynor.